Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode with me, Ani, where we are diving into something a little hidden, little mysterious, and even maybe a little mind bending. Imagine a world where time is not linear, where your focus literally creates your experience and reality mirrors back what you give energy to. Imagine realizing that so much of what you think is you is actually part of loops designed to keep you predictable. We'll explore how our attention, our energy, and even our emotions are influencing the world around us, and how system, society, and even cultural narratives can subtly guide our reactions without us noticing. And then we'll talk about why feminine consciousness has historically been more attuned to these patterns and how awareness can create tiny glitches that break these loops and what it really means to reclaim your mind and your power. By the end of this episode, you might start seeing the invisible architecture behind your thoughts, your choices, and your reality itself. So get comfortable and let's explore these hidden patterns together. I want you to imagine a world where time is not linear, where your past, present, and future overlap like a layer of dream, and where your perception doesn't just observe reality, it participates in creating it. What you focus on, what you give your energy to, literally expands in your experience. What you ignore fades. Our brains aren't passive receivers of life. Neuroscience shows that they are predictive engines constantly scanning for patterns. They replay memories, desires, and fears. They reinforce habits that feel like you, but often they're just loops created by experience, culture, and conditioning. They can trick you into thinking your reactions are spontaneous, that you've been rehearsed over and over in subtle ways. Think about it. The next time you feel jealous, for example, your mind might instantly trigger memories of past situation where you felt overlooked, stories you internalize about not being enough or always needing to compete, physical urges, chest tightening, tensions in your job. And these are not random. Your nervous system is responding to patterns encoded across lifetimes in your family, your culture, and even in your ancestors. Reality, in a sense, is reflecting your focus back to you like a hologram. And ancient philosophies like Hermetic teachings or Vedic texts describe this beautifully. Every part contains the whole. Your consciousness projects energy into the field, and the field reflects it back to you. Your focus, your emotions, your energy, they ripple outward and literally shape your experience of reality. Let me give you some examples. You see someone living a life that you desire. Suddenly your mind floods with images, stories, and urges. I'm missing out. I need that too. I have to catch up. Reality is mirroring your internal state. Or someone irritates you repeatedly. That reaction feels automatic, but it's actually a loop of perception interacting with reality. The more attention you give it, the stronger it grows. And even collective experiences work this way. Viral stories, trending social narratives, cultural symbols, they tap into fear, desire, and curiosity, amplifying emotional charge. Millions focus attentions on the same patterns, reinforcing a shared hologram, a reality that feels real, yet it's subtly engineered. Your mind isn't just interpreting reality, it is interacting with it energetically. What do you notice expands and what do you ignore fades. Emotional charge acts like a magnet, pulling matching experiences into your field. I want you to imagine this. You feel anxious. You feel anxious about money. Suddenly, every billboard, conversation, and article seems to scream scarcity. You feel pressure to chase, compete, and fix. That is not coincidence. Your internal state is reflected in the world. And here's where it gets fascinating. In quantum physics, observing a particle changes its behavior. In life, noticing your patterns work the same way. You spot jealousy, scarcity story, or a reactive habit, you pause before reacting. You choose what deserves your energy, and subtly you start rewriting the hologram around you. Even tiny moments of awareness are revolutionary. Notice a reaction, step back, and choose differently. That's the glitch in the system, giving you a taste of sovereignty. Hidden systems thrive on your anxiety, fear, and scarcity. They are not just feelings, they are tools of predictability designed to keep your mind looping and your energy harvested. Crisis appears endless, deadlines never stop, social pressure constantly reminds you to compare, perform, and to react. Every moment of uncertainty narrows your focus, amplifies stress, and suppresses questioning. You react more than you reflect. And here's the mysterious twist, if you like. What if much of this scarcity is not random? Deadlines, social comparison, viral trends, and that nagging sense of inadequacy, all subtly engineered. Invisible loops run behind daily life like a shadow script. Every story, image, every narrative, it nudges your attention, reinforces anxiety, and keeps you predictable. Look at schools. They were designed to standardize thoughts, reward compliance over creativity, and suppress curiosity. Social media trends trigger jealousy, urgency, they trigger fear, keeping nervous system on high alert. Or cultural narratives about beauty, success, and achievement, they program scarcity. They always make you feel that you're behind and you're not enough. The loop exists because they are profitable for institutions that train compliant minds, for media that thrives on emotional spikes, for system that benefits from reactive humans. And most of the time, we don't notice because it feels like our own thoughts, fears, and urgency. Even one conscious pause cracks the loops, and that's a good news. Notice when your attention is pulled by fear, scarcity, and ask yourself, is this real? Is this me or not? And women's consciousness has historically been more attuned to patterns, energy, and subtle dynamics. But this awareness has been always systematically suppressed. Patriarchy, traditions, schooling, and societal expectations pressure women to perform, compete, and overgive rather than observe, attract, and discern. Creativity is graded, intuition is dismissed, curiosity is punished, and obedience is rewarded. Girls are taught to follow rules, stay visible, and excel at measurable outcomes, not to cultivate the quiet power of feminine presence. And feminine superpowers such as our intuition, magnetism, discernment, presence were quietly devalued because a self aware, sovereign woman is unpredictable and very, very hard to control. For example, society rewards women who chase approval, overperform, overgive, but the moment a woman steps into presence and discernment, she becomes less predictable and resists subtle manipulation. That pause, That observation is the feminine glitch, I like to call it, quietly dismantling the invisible architecture of reactive, overworked minds. I've talked about this before. I've recommended watching Westworld, and if you haven't, please do go and watch it. It shows this world and the host in it. They live in this intricate world where every reaction, every emotion is pre programmed. They think that they're free, but they live in loops until a glitch appears, a memory, a hesitation, a question the script didn't account for. Then everything shifts. In life, glitches appear when we stop performing, stop chasing approval, and start observing our own patterns. Let's say you always agree to do extra work, even when you are overwhelmed. The first pause, the first no, triggers resistance internally and externally because the system expects predictability. That pause is your glitch. Or let's say you are attached to the same type of partner repeatedly. Observing your pattern breaks that loop. Old insecurities, childhood dynamics, societal expectations are revealed. Awareness disrupts repetition. Glitches are subtle, quiet, and almost imperceptible, but they weaken loops, recalibrate energy, and restore agency, and awareness itself becomes revolutionary. I want you to bear something in mind. Reality isn't only socially constructed, it is mathematically, energetically, and physically layered. Time is not linear, moments exist simultaneously, layered and entangled. Choices now resonate backward and forward, subtly shaping past memories and future perception. For example, you replay a frustrating conversation, observing your emotional loops soften the memory. Ancient teaching encoded this in symbols, stories, and rituals. What you focus on expands, and what you ignore fades. For example, focus obsessively on scarcity, a friend's success, and missed opportunity, and your nervous system amplifies anxiety and comparison. Shift attention to curiosity, learning, or gratitude, and previously invisible patterns emerge. Modern culture removed these lessons from education, replacing observation and creativity with repetition and compliance. And as I've mentioned this before, women's consciousness is naturally more attuned to subtle patterns, microsignals in relationships, emotional shifts, and social structures. And patriarchy suppressed this, teaching performance over presence, obedience over discernment, visibility over intuition. So, what can we do? Observing, because observing changes outcome. Notice your patterns, panic buying, overreacting, chasing for approval. And by doing that, the loop loses its grip. Over time, awareness rewires habitual behavior and even collective patterns. Ancient school encoded these laws in rituals, myths, and symbols. Modern society removed them intentionally, leaving distractions and repetition in their place. And today, noticing these patterns is a glimpse of hidden knowledge and a subtle awakening. So, my lovely listeners, thank you for being here with me and thank you for sharing this space. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who is ready to hear this and leave a comment with your thoughts and let me know what your patterns or glitches are and what you've noticed. And remember, every time you pause instead of reacting, every time you choose attention over distraction, you create a ripple that reshapes your experience and even the collective field around you. Your awareness is a quiet revolution. So take a moment today to notice where your energy is going and to reclaim the sovereignty that's always been yours. This isn't about doing everything differently overnight. It is about noticing, observing, and gently reclaiming your own power. So until next time, stay aware, stay sovereign, and always go beyond the mind.